A man who didn't just build an empire, he practically defined what it meant to be filthy rich. Yes, we're talking about none other than John D. Rockefeller, the trailblazer behind the Rockefeller legacy, and the world's first billionaire. Strap in for a ride through the twists and turns of a life that went from plowing fields to making barrels of cash. It's 1839 in Richford, New York, and young John D. Rockefeller is knee-deep in religious intensity and farm life. His mother, Eliza, with her stern faith, puts him to work on the farm, instilling in him a sense of duty. But hold up. His father, Bill, is no saint. A botanical physician by day and a con artist by night, Bill lives a double life, leaving his family stranded while he cavorts with a mistress named Nancy Brown. Local legend has it, they even called him Devil Bill. Fast forward to 1849, the year things hit the fan for the Rockefellers. Devil Bill is accused of some heinous acts, and instead of facing the music, he takes off, leaving the family to deal with the fallout. And you won't believe what he did next. He marries another woman with a fake identity and continues his shifty ways, moving the family around like pieces on a chessboard. Now, picture young John at 16, dreaming of college but forced to drop out due to financial struggles. Determined to make a mark, he lands a gig as an assistant bookkeeper, meticulously counting every penny. His father might have been a con artist, but he taught John a valuable lesson: always be one step ahead in any deal. As John's earnings grew, so did his ambitions. At 18, he decides to kickstart his own business, teaming up with Morris B. Clark and George W. Gardner. With $4,000 in hand, including $1,000 borrowed from his elusive father, they launch Clark, Gardner, and Company, trading commodities like meat and grain. War breaks out, the Civil War, that is. But instead of fighting on the front lines, John takes a different route. As a staunch supporter of the Union and an opponent of slavery, he pays a professional soldier to take his place. Hey, it was a common move among the elites of the time. Clark leaves the business and it becomes Clark and Rockefeller. But as wartime profits start to dwindle, they pivot. And here's where the story takes a turn towards fortune. Crude oil is discovered, and the military's demand sends prices through the roof. It's a black gold rush. Speculators are scrambling to capitalize on this newfound oil bonanza. And guess who's at the forefront? Yep, you got it. John D. Rockefeller. He seizes the opportunity, creating a legacy that would redefine wealth. From plowing fields to navigating the complex world of oil, Rockefeller's journey was no walk in the park. It was a roller coaster of tough times, questionable family dynamics, and strategic business moves. And yet, through it all, he emerged as the world's first billionaire, leaving a legacy that echoes through the halls of wealth to this day. Instead of joining the oil drilling frenzy, he focused on refining. In 1863, he set up an oil refinery in Cleveland's industrial hotspot. Now, other refineries were dumping 40% of their oil byproducts into rivers and sludge piles. But not Rockefeller. He used that waste to fuel his refinery and crafted products like petroleum jelly and paraffin wax. Now, here's where it gets juicy. Rockefeller hired his own plumbers, cutting pipe-laying costs in half. Instead of buying barrels, he went DIY and had them built. 2 years into the refinery game, he outsmarted the Clark brothers, sealing the deal for $72,500. Boom! Rockefeller and Andrews were born, positioning him perfectly for the post-war boom. Fast forward to post-Civil War, and Rockefeller's brother William enters the scene, building another refinery in Cleveland. With Henry Morrison Flagler joining in 1867, the trio formed Rockefeller, Andrews, and Flagler, becoming a powerhouse. In 1870, Rockefeller waved goodbye to partnerships, forming Standard Oil of Ohio. This guy's work ethic and efficiency were on another level. By 1868, they owned 2 Cleveland refineries. In 1872, in what we now call the Cleveland Conquest or the Cleveland Massacre, Standard Oil absorbed 22 of its 26 Cleveland competitors. Talk about a power move. Rockefeller, industry savior in his eyes, consolidated weaker entities, fortifying the industry's strength. Standard Oil expanded horizontally and vertically, integrating pipelines, tank cars, and home delivery services. They prioritized keeping oil prices low, sometimes selling at a loss to gain market share. By the late 1870s, Rockefeller was already a millionaire, but not without some conflicts. A clash with Thomas A. Scott, president of the Pennsylvania Railroad, emerged. Seeing pipelines as a threat, the railroad retaliated, sparking a price war and labor unrest. Rockefeller's strategy prevailed, forcing the railroad to sell its oil interests to Standard. But here's where it gets spicy: behind-the-scenes dealings. Rockefeller personally negotiating train rebates with big rail company owners. Sneaky, right? This maneuver raised eyebrows among fellow industrialists, fearing the shadow of monopolization looming over their sectors. Rockefeller's empire was expanding, acquiring companies across state lines. But wait, the laws of the time had limitations on business operations, prompting Rockefeller to get creative. Rockefeller, the invincible, triumphing over rivals, critics, and political adversaries, Standard Oil became the Goliath of business, seemingly unaffected by economic storms. At its peak, it controlled 20,000 oil wells, 4,000 miles of pipelines, and employed over 100,000 individuals. Now, that's an empire. But Rockefeller wasn't content with just oil. Oh no, he had his eyes on iron ore, leading to a showdown with none other than Andrew Carnegie, the steel tycoon. Cue the headlines and newspaper cartoons, the clash of the titans. Rockefeller was also on a spending spree, securing contracts for oil in various places. Now, let's talk retirement plans. As Rockefeller's empire grew, he started eyeing vast oil deposits in Russia and Asia, courtesy of the Rothschild family. New challenges loomed on the horizon. The world was changing, and so was the oil industry. The 1890s saw Rockefeller diving into the iron ore business, adding another feather to his cap. Rockefeller, the master strategist, was always one step ahead, adapting and expanding as the tides changed. In its final 2 decades, Standard Oil was like a cash cow, paying out dividends exceeding $500 million. Some estimates even valued the behemoth at around a jaw-dropping $1 trillion. Rockefeller, the captain of industry, the OG billionaire, with an estimated net worth of $400 billion. Yep, you heard it right. The man was rolling in dough. And, oh, let's not forget the personal side. He married Laura C. Spellman, a teacher, in 1864, and they built a Rockefeller dynasty with 5 kiddos. Now, let's talk about Rockefeller's grand finale, his retirement. The last 40 years of his life were a masterclass in giving back. From his childhood days, he'd been all about that charity life, donating portions of his earnings to the church. In retirement, he took it up a notch, defining modern philanthropy through foundations that supported medicine, education, and scientific research. But life's not always smooth sailing, even for the wealthiest. Rockefeller faced health challenges, moderate depression, digestive issues, and alopecia. Yet, these hurdles didn't stop him from being the philanthropic powerhouse he was. The man had a mission, and he was sticking to it. On May 23, 1937, John D. Rockefeller bid adieu to the world. But his legacy? Oh, that endured, cementing him as one of the most influential figures in American business history. Now, opinions about Rockefeller are a mixed bag. Some folks see him as a business maestro, the best to ever do it. a visionary, a genius. But others, well, they paint a different picture. Ruthless, unscrupulous, greedy, and a conniving bully. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.